It's funny.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Christian Music Riff Podcast. We're now in the month of February. At the time of recording, this might not be posted until end of February or March. Who knows? I still have to post like 8 episodes. I tell you guys this every time, but I try to post one a week and not two a week because I feel like it's respectful. I hope you guys are all doing good. I am now another year older, maybe another year wiser, but they always say another year older, another year wiser. I feel like it's the opposite. It's another year less wiser, but just kidding. But it was a great time. I just got back from Nashville. I did some connecting. If you stay up to date on my socials, I'm working on a showcase. You can see the details in that post. And I just announced that Stephen Stanley will be joining me here next Wednesday on the top of recording this. That's gonna be an exciting episode, so I hope you guys can check it out and you guys have a great time. And just because I like to give you guys some advice or something to ponder, do not spend 8 hours in the airport. That's an advice. We're not going to go into details, but we'll just say that's some advice. Today I am with Joe Vaughn, so I'm going to let Joel introduce himself right now.
Hey, I am the Vaughn Jolby. Just kidding. I'm Joel Vaughn. I live in Nashville, actually. I don't know if you knew that. I'm about 30 minutes from the airport, and I spend a lot of my life there. Christian recording artist, touring, all of the above. So it's nice to be here.
Yes. And so I could have ran into you over the weekend. I'm kidding, but
The weekend before you could have, I think I was in Texas. I think that's where I flew, maybe something like
I
that.
thought, not gonna lie, I thought you were Texas because you have like a Texas painting in the background.
Yeah, w my whole family's from Texas, actually. So yeah, right there.
Yeah.
So, my wife was born and raised in Texas. My kids were born there. I transplanted to Texas from Alabama when I was 14. My parents moved us there, and it's my second home. So all my family, except for my brother, have actually moved back to Alabama. But my brother still lives in Texas. So, yeah, I lived there for 16 years, and that's where Mexican food gets awesome. So,
Mexican food's the way to go. So,
it's a way to go in Texas, man.
for those who are listening slash watching slash streaming, please comment your favorite Mexican food because I'm just curious what your favorite Mexican dish is or your favorite Mexican restaurant if you don't have a favorite dish. Maybe restaurants would be easier. I always like to
You
try
could
out new restaurants when I'm in town or wherever you are.
You can't go wrong with stacked blue corn enchiladas. That's a New Mexican thing, but it's money. It's good.
I will check that out. Um, there was a Mexican restaurant in the airport I wanted to try out yesterday, but I just ate lunch. I was like, I can't eat twice in like 20 minutes.
There's
But
a couple good spots in Nashville Airport. You got the Hattie B's. That's something everybody's got to do. You got Prince's Hot Chicken. Puckett's is real good. There's a lot of good
I
stuff in
went to
the
the
Nashville Airport.
Acme Feed and Seed or whatever, Acme Feed and Seed,
Oh, that's
Acme
good.
Feed and Seed.
Yeah.
That's where I went yesterday. I guess we're going to just be talking about food, not music today, guys. So I'm sorry if you're hungry
Man,
right now.
we're like an hour from lunch for me, so like that's all I'm thinking about.
But anyway, thank you for joining today, Joe.
Yeah, absolutely, bro.
Let's just start nice and easy. Can you tell us a little bit about your music background? Like you said, you were in Alabama and then you moved to Texas. Now you're in Nashville. Can you tell us a little bit about the journey in music?
Yeah, so my journey in music starts real early. So my dad was he's an Air Force veteran, so and Army. So he was in the Air Force for the first, couple years of my life, and I was born in South Carolina. We moved to Alabama when I was a kid, right before he retired. My mom and dad grew up in Alabama, and so they had a love for music. My mom is from the Muscle Shoals area. My dad is from Birmingham. And if you don't know what Muscle Shoals is, look up Fame Recording Studios, that sort of things. Yeah, so music is a big deal in our family. And then by the time I was 14, my parents were like, "We're moving to Texas," and I was like, "No, I don't want to move to Texas. The place is terrible." And then I ended up loving it. We moved to the Dallas area and eventually made our way to the Texas Panhandle, and that's where I really learned to appreciate amazing Mexican food that we just talked about. But I started singing in church when I was 7, so that was like 1993. That was a long time ago. To accompaniment tracks, and one of my favorite artists back then that I used to sing his songs. Y'all may not know who he is, but his name was Clay Cross. And so anytime there was an accompaniment track of Clay Cross that came out at the what used to be called the Bible bookstore, like Lifeway used to have them,
Mhm.
like we would get those, and I was like, I get to sing this at church, and so that's how I started. My brother and I started leading worship together. I played drums and guitar and sang. And so we did that for a youth group. I also sang with my family on special occasions at stuff. And so we just kind of traveled around and did that. Ended up in the Texas Panhandle by 2001. That's where we really just kind of solidified that we wanted to do the band thing. And so my brother and I, we started doing worship together. So like Sonic Flood days, bro, that kind of stuff. And so met my wife in 2003. Graduated high school in 2004. We got engaged that year. I'm not saying you should get engaged at 18, but that's my story. And we all, the three of us started, touring regionally. We didn't know we were touring. That's what we were doing. We were going from church to church to church, all over the tri-state area from, New or quad state, New Mexico, Colorado, Oklahoma, Texas. We were just kind of doing that round and leading worship for churches, and just doing that sort of thing. Eventually, I got a job as a worship leader, and thought, okay, maybe this is where the Lord wants me. But I also really like writing and recording music. Before that, I was writing my own music and my own songs starting around 2003, 2004. And so I started recording and producing my own stuff, enrolled in a program at West Texas A&M University to hone those skills a little bit more in broadcasting. And I kind of really leaned into radio, and a little bit of TV broadcasting, mostly because I wanted to use their recording studio for my own music. But I have a degree in broadcasting, so I could have become a radio DJ, but I'm not a radio DJ. Or I could have been on the news. So the Lord had different plans for me. So I served in the local church, but continued to like tour regionally. And by 2015, I was working at a large church, but then I stepped away from that. And I did a bunch of local shows. And there was this artist that I met at the time that I opened for, and he was like, "Dude, why aren't you signed?" And I was like, "I don't know. I've never really tried to get signed. I didn't know if that was a thing that was actually possible." By the way, that's my dog Kevin that you just saw his little head
I
pop
was
up.
about to say, I like your dog.
Yeah, yeah, Kevin Bacon. But anyway, I was introduced to a record label, signed my first record deal. I did a song deal because I wasn't sure I wanted to do it in 2015, and then they got it plugged into a TV show, an internet show called Dude Perfect, and it just kind of took off. And they're like, "Hey, what? We could do some more of this if you would like to." And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." So I signed a 3 album deal with this record label, and then it just kind of took off from there. And there's been highs and lows and incredible moments and low moments in between. And I've gone from touring in a 2013 Honda Accord across the country to being in a tour bus now, and sometimes still the 15 passenger van, and flying all over, not just the country, but internationally now. And it's just cool to see how some songs that I wrote and just being faithful, how God allowed me to do the stuff that I'm doing now. And that's my journey in music. So
Very cool. And for those who don't know this, I've discussed this before. I'm pretty sure 90% of my listeners know this, but I've been having a lot of new listeners here. This podcast has been going for 3 years, so I don't know how much when the last time I said this is. I work for New Release today on the side, like in my free time. It's like all volunteer, like I'm a volunteer for them. And I actually did an album review on your album Control. I don't know if you remember this back in the day, but when
oh
we
yeah,
covered, and that was me. I wrote the album review.
nice. You were very kind.
This uh this is like 2019 though. So
Yeah, yeah. We worked on those songs from 2017 to 20, I think we finished it in 2018 and sat on it for a while.
and I think
Uh,
you divided it into like two EPs, if I remember back. It was like
yep,
two EPs or something.
two EPs. It was a weird one because I had the whole album done and had it printed and I put it on CDs, but the mixes weren't quite right. And I told the label, I was like, "Hey, I'd really like to get those remixed before we upload it." So the album didn't actually, I don't think it came out till 2019, and then the other half maybe 2020 or something like that. But the
Yeah,
original release date for that thing was like 2018, but I had to go back and redo
exactly. It was like one of my
everything.
first tasks I ever had to do for new release today was to write an album on Joe's EP, I guess I review it on his.
It was like
Yeah.
EP album, so it was two EPs, and then we combined them as an album. And
I
so
think it was one
now,
of the EPs. So
yeah, yeah, that was a fun project. Dude, I still sing a lot of the songs on that project. Pray It Up being the big one. That if I don't sing it, people mention it, and I'm like, I can't believe anybody's heard that. But apparently, a lot of people have heard it. So,
my favorite was Take It Back off the album. So
yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
and then in 2021 you released Louder Than Lies album. I actually have a poster I actually ordered that CD and everything. I got a poster with you here on my wall of fame in my room. I have like I
Nice,
have inside autograph all these autograph like CD booklets or posters and everything. And you're actually on that wall. So congratulations, you made it to the Christian
dude.
Music Artist Hall
That
of Fame, I
means
guess.
means a ton. Means a ton. I appreciate that.
And you just released you're starting to release a couple new singles. You released Friend in 2022, What I Can't in 2023, and then you just released Need to Know. Do you have any stories on any of those new singles?
Yeah. So I went through kind of a dry spell because I got so busy from 2022 to currently that I was out on the road every single weekend 1 year, with the exception of 6 weekends. And by weekend, I mean Thursday to Monday, and then I'm only home for Tuesday, Wednesday, and then I'm back out on the road. And I just absolutely got burned out. It was like, man, I don't know that I want to do the road anymore because even though I'm new to a lot of people, uh, I've gone through seasons where it's like, oh, everybody knows my name and music, and then nobody does. For the last 21 years, um, there was a period where there are periods where I have a lot and I'm busy, and then there's periods where there's not a whole lot going on. But I was very, very busy the last 3 years, and I was just about on the edge of burnout. And so I didn't have time to write songs or anything. So I released, I went from releasing an album a year for like 5 years straight, to, or at least an EP, to nothing, and so I just needed some time, to figure out, like, do I want to continue to do this? Do I want to sign another deal? Is this what God wants for my family, and for me? And so I had to change some things and get some things into perspective. And so that's the perspective that I wrote, I'd say, all of these songs from, and then just getting honest with myself and going, what if you wrote music that you actually loved? That, it's not that I didn't love or like any of the past projects, but I felt like there was always this pressure of, well, what if Christian media outlets don't like this? What if Christian radio doesn't like this? What if streaming doesn't like this? And to just put all that pressure aside and just write, what has God put on your heart to share with others? And how do you want to translate that musically? And if you are faithful to that, if you're honest and serve the song and write what you feel like God is actually telling you to write, all that stuff will take care of itself, and just let it go. And so, um, it was a process of unraveling, a lot of the fear and a lot of the control, and that's kind of what I wrote Control about too. But that was me really getting ready to just like let it go, even though I wasn't ready to let it go, um, and really just trusting whatever process God had in front of me. So What I Can't was a song that we didn't really do nearly enough promotion on. But I was stepping out of being on staff full time at a church and also being on the road full time. It was burning the candle at both ends, but not really being ready for that because I knew, like, financially this was going to be a struggle. Uh, Life wise, this was going to be a struggle. I was going to have to pick up more things on the side for work to make ends meet if I did that. But I knew that if I didn't step out of the church, one, the church was only getting, burned on both ends of the candle version of Joel, and music was too. And I can't be everything to everyone. And so, that song was like, God, I'm going to let you do what I can't. And that was the story behind it. And so a lot of those songs were informed in
Mhm.
that way. And so Need to Know, the same thing. Just trusting God that, like, hey, the financial stuff's going to be taken care of. The spiritual stuff, how you want to lead your kids, that's going to be taken care of if you are faithful and follow him, and let go of all of the things that you're worried about on the media side of things. Uh, just just be faithful to God. Write good songs that are going to reach people wherever they're at in their lives, and release it and do it stylistically in a way that you actually like, And
Mhm.
dude, I sat on so many songs. There's probably 20 or so songs that aren't released that don't make sense for this project. They're still good songs, but I was like, if they aren't exactly what I want to say, if they aren't exactly what I believe the Lord is leading me to say, then I don't release them, at least not on a Joel Vaughn record. I may release them on something else entirely, and I'm working on that actually. But that's been the process with these songs.
That's true. And we haven't even talked about your legendary song yet. We're not gonna either way I'm going with this. I'm sorry.
Oh, maybe I don't know.
I was gonna
Which
say
legendary?
this is just a joke, but if anyone follows Joe, he has a great parody of "It's Gonna Be May." Called "It's
There
Gonna
it
Be May."
is.
There it is.
I knew it was either that or it was something new because I have a tendency and a knack to do goofy music videos, and I'm potentially doing something that I hope will outshine it soon. I say that now, and I'm like, okay, that puts the pressure on.
So if
It's
anyone just
pretty
wants a fun video,
ridiculous.
yeah, I
It's
have to
pretty
say if anyone wants
ridiculous.
like a fun what the heck am I watching video, watch it. Like nothing
Yeah,
wrong with it. I'm just saying
if
like
you want to be profoundly confused and go, this guy is a serious artist, just you'll really get to know the real me if you watch that video. I don't take myself very seriously, and it's pretty evident by by
and
watching that.
it kind of reminds me of the Matthew West song "Gobble Gobble," but it was the May version.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's where we could explain it.
That one went like I watched that and I was like, oof. And then I looked at my video and I was like, yeah, it's par for the course. I'm just as bad.
But anyway, I was letting the audience know about that just for fun and everything. 'Cause I like to introduce like fun things like people might not know about the artist. So that's my fun fact right there.
Yeah, check it
Um,
out, especially the day before May.
yeah.
Dude, I get so many comments. My phone blows up on April 30th every year, or it starts blowing up like the week before. And it's like nothing but notifications of YouTube comments on that video. And I'm like, people are still watching this. I think it's what, 5 years old now, 6 years
Let me
old,
see.
something like that.
It's 3 years old actually.
3 years old.
And then give me a second. Sorry, I have my laptop up, guys, so please stand with me. I had it up a minute ago, but you have over 23,000 views on it in 3 years.
That's not bad. That's not bad. Well, I think it's closer to 4 years. It'll be 4 years in April because I
Yeah.
think I did that in
I'm just saying it's 3 years as of
2021.
today.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah.
Anyway,
And even and I think we recorded it in like maybe March of 2020, something like that. It was definitely 2020 because there was nothing to do. I was like, hey, I
yeah.
got a green screen in the garage. Let's do this and see what happens.
We need to think of a new one for you. We need if you did NSYNC last time, we need to think of something like Backstreet Boys.
Oh yeah, dude, I'm a Backstreet Boys fan. I'm not even gonna hide that. I'm an NSYNC fan too. A lot of people. Well, here's the thing that a lot of people didn't catch. I dressed up as the Backstreet Boys. I didn't want to do five people because that just takes way too much work. I
Right.
dressed up as the Backstreet Boys and did the "I Want It That Way" music video hanger. And people caught on to that, but they were like, "But you're doing an NSYNC song. This doesn't make sense." And the reason I did it is because I thought it would be funny to see Backstreet Boys fans' heads explode. Like I thought for sure they're gonna call me out on it and say something, and it's gonna get attention, and it totally worked. They fell for it because I know the difference, dude. I grew up listening to the Backstreet Boys. It was not cool to listen to the Backstreet Boys in 1999
Right.
as a guy, and I did. So I don't know. That was my
Here,
funny like, hey,
I'm
watch
not gonna say
this.
this out loud because I don't want to spoil anything for you. But I gave you a song inspiration name. There we go.
Oh,
There we go.
you might see something. You might
That's
see
just
something.
I just thought of that top of my head. We were sitting here. But anyway, we're now in February 2025 as the time of recording this. It's probably gonna be posted sometime in February 2025. I just know some people will just pick random episodes, and if you're watching this in April, May, whatever.
And
Do
then
you
you
have any
see this
events?
Christmas tree.
Yes. Okay, so we're on December of 2028. This is like 5 years in the future, guys. I'm sorry. But yeah,
It is what
whatever.
it is.
It
Yeah.
is. All these days done the same anyway nowadays to me, but
Yeah,
do
and
you have
they'll
any
blend in.
do you have any like events anyone can come support you or like talk about like you can talk about that people can come check out? I know you're going on tour a short tour with Presence Music Band. I just interviewed Brandon from Presence Music Band and he was talking about that.
I am good. Yeah, I'm going to be on tour with Presence Music Band. We're doing a week long run. There is another tour that I wish I could tell you about that I will be joining. I can't, I think I'm on a gag order to say even when.
Mhm.
Not a gag order. That's not like that big a
Yeah.
deal, but it's a pretty big deal. And I will share. with you as soon as I can, and maybe you can share it on this podcast, but I can't actually talk about it on the podcast until they go, hey,
Exactly.
Joel's going to be on this tour. So there's a pretty cool tour coming up. We'll also be in Philadelphia for uh, a service project, but leading worship and doing concerts called the Philadelphia Project. It's
Mhm.
called thephillyproject.com. Y'all should go check that out. Um, Shout out. And then just a whole bunch of other stuff, and a whole bunch of new music coming out. I have a new song called Turn coming out in March, another song coming out in April, another one in May, and then a new album in June. So,
And for to start watching, listening, streaming,
yeah.
give me like a Bob Ross video. I don't know. Do people still watch Bob Ross? I don't even know.
Dude, I think it re-airs on something like maybe PBS. Surely it re-airs somewhere. It's so iconic. Why wouldn't they?
Right. So my nickname is BB. I'm BB Ross. I'm your podcast. I'm creating this masterpiece of talking to people. Okay, I don't know. I tried.
Just
That was my
be,
best problem.
it's like, here's a nice, beautiful little Christmas tree. It's
Exactly.
just, isn't that calming? Isn't that great?
And a fan.
And a fan.
Exactly. So if you who's watching, make sure to check out Joel's new music, new singles coming out. Check him out on the road if he comes near you. If you want to follow him, it's Joe Vaughn Music on Spotify, or not Spotify, but Instagram, Facebook, and
Yeah.
everything. Keep up to date with everything there. Joel, we just have a few extra minutes with you today. Do you have anything you want to talk about that we did not bring up, or any fun stories you want to share, or anything?
Fun stories. Well, what kind of fun stories? You want to hear a band van story? Um,
Speaking of band, man, you actually are making a new podcast you just announced, or
I
even some.
am. I
We
am.
can
I
talk
was
about
telling
that
you
for a
about
quick
that.
second.
Yeah, let's talk about the Band Van podcast. So, if you are a
I
recording
completely
artist
forgot.
or a no, it's fine, or a musician, and you want to become, if you want to, you want to get out on the road, you want to tour, this podcast is for you. It's aimed towards you. Or if you're the curious listener and you want to know what actually goes on in the tour bus, what actually goes on in the band van, um, hopefully it won't all be redacted. There's a lot of funny stories that don't make sense for me to just share on my personal pages and stuff like that that are going to make sense here. So it's a lot of just hilarious stories of what happens on the road, plus advice on if you want to become a touring musician, like what it actually entails. And here's some advice on what you should do, how to get out there and do it, and when you get there, how you should act, be, and how you should do everything. So it's a cool concept that my buddy Mikey and I have kind of mulled over for the last couple of years and thought, man, every weekend we get together, we have some kind of something happen every weekend that could fill up 12 episodes of a podcast. And we laughed about it for the longest time, and then we decided, dude, let's just get together at my house. Let's turn the camera on and let's just riff and let's just see what happens. And then it turned into something a little more serious. So we've got a few episodes recorded, plan to go live with it in March. So Band Van Podcast, that's what it's going to be named. And hopefully March, if not March, April. I'll get some hard dates to you pretty soon. Um, but yeah, it's going to be pretty great. I think people will want to listen. Will want to listen to this. So
Yes, it's gonna be everyone's favorite podcast.
I hope so, but not
It's
not 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 more popular than this one. Not more popular than this one.
it'll be the same. It'll be the same.
Same level of popularity.
Exactly. Joel, thank you for joining me today. It was great to have you, and everyone who's watching. I hope you can check out Joe's music. All his old stuff is out on Spotify and streaming now. He has his new single, Need to Know, streaming right now on Spotify. Like he says, he has new music coming later in the year too. So just take a minute, listen to it. Even if you don't know Joel already, just keep sharing the stream. More streaming, the better.
Yeah,
It's like a
dude,
river,
please. Love it. Thank you.
just like a river stream. I don't know. I was trying to think of a stream joke, but I couldn't think of anything.
It
But
works.
but Joel, thank you again for joining me today.
Hey, thanks for having me, bro.
And take care, everyone. And we'll see you next time on the Christian Music Bros podcast. And remember to stay up to date on the page. Remember to follow me on Instagram and subscribe to the YouTube channel or the Spotify page if you're following us on Spotify. Take care, everyone.